this is Trish Griffin here, Family Credit Management, and I am here to talk to you about finances, about debt, about any types of problems or issues that you are experiencing with dealing with your debt. And just so you know, there are counselors available at familycredit.org or by calling 800-994-3328 that are there to assist you and help you with any questions you may have, anything like getting your credit report or looking at what's on your credit report and understanding it. Counselors are there to assist you with this information. Also, Family Credit's website has some great tools that you can use if you are looking to get your budget in place. If you are looking to reduce your spending, whatever you need tips on, you can find some tools there to help you with that. So I want you to go to familycredit.org or call a counselor at 800-994-3328. So today, we are going to talk a little bit about your finances, of course, but how to deal during difficult times. Now, for the past year, there have been talks of the recession and inflation, how it's affecting things. And yes, it really has affected us. We never dreamed of going to the store at one time and paying $8 just for a dozen of eggs. Now, things have gotten a little bit better and the prices are starting to normalize. But I want you to start thinking about this because this could happen again. And then where are you left? What are you going to do? So we want to think about right now how to make sure that we can survive a recession or this happening again. And yes, over the past few weeks, there have been talks that things are getting better, that the recession is over. There's even talks that the recession is over because we see the numbers and the economy doing better. The gross domestic product numbers are stabilizing. They're doing better. But again, we're the last to feel that because right now we know we still are struggling to make it each and every single month. We are still trying to figure out how to make our budget work for us. So that's what I want you to think about. And again, finances, all of this does tie in, not just with your budget and numbers, but it looks and affects your credit profile. It affects your stability, your stress level, all of that. So we want to make sure that we're guarding ourselves right now to protect ourselves and know how we're going to handle things in the future. First thing that you can do, again, we always talk about making sure our budget is intact. We talk about looking at our credit report to make sure that's intact. But when you're thinking about your future, your stability and your financial future, the one thing that you want to do is create an emergency fund. Now, I know me saying create an emergency fund might be a little bit hard to do. And it's always been said that, hey, if you have an emergency fund, you need to have at least 6 months worth of your income, 6 months worth of whatever you get paid, stored up in a bank account, and you need to have that no matter what. We know nowadays that can be a little bit hard to do. But just creating some sort of reserves or some sort of extra money, some kind of way, you can do it. You really can. And I know it's hard. And you may think about it like, I don't even have money left over to pay my bills. I've heard people say that I don't even have money to eat right now. Well, what are some ways and some things that you can do to make sure that you are okay? So if you look at your budget, again, you're looking at your expenses, and you want to think about those expenses that you do have. Are they really necessary? Are they worth it? Are they fixed expenses, or can you make those expenses go down? Think about it, even with the utility companies. I need you to call the utility company, see if they offer any assistance. Can you do a budget bill? Will it save you? Will it save you each month? Looking at a budgeted amount, making sure that it's the same amount and that comes out of your budget each and every single month so it does not affect you. Will that create any additional money left over at the end of the month? One thing that I needed to observe that I wasn't even realizing in my own budget is how much streaming costs. Streaming first came out, you could get a plan. A lot of it was free. Then they wanted to charge you $5.99, then $8.99. Now, if you look at some of what's being offered, they can go as high as $60 a month. And you're not even talking about cable. So you may have cut out cable, but guess what? You've added on a new expense because now you're paying $15 to Netflix, $20 to YouTube. You're paying, to stream whatever it is that you're streaming, and not thinking that Hulu costs. There's so many different apps that you can use that cost. One of the other things that I want you to think about is going through that. Can you afford to pay for 5 different streaming services? Does it add? It adds up. It really, really adds up. But also think about this. What are some ways that I can get these streaming services for free? That's something to think about. I noticed that on my phone bill each and every single month, guess what? My phone company was offering free Netflix. Before, I'm just paying it, not even realizing it because I've had Netflix since they started. Didn't even realize the costs were increasing, but guess what? Now I can get it for free. Think about that. Look at some other ways, some other apps, and you can even Google or look up online. What are some ways to get these streaming services for free? How are they being offered? And see how you can make that work in your budget. See, here again, I didn't say cut it out, but I did say use your resources. Because if that's what you need or that's what you want, that makes you happy, you should have that. But think about a way that you can get it for free or discounted. That's going to help. Guess what? It's going to help build up your emergency fund. Because again, we're trying to build this emergency fund. If you even take $10 right now and just put that to the side, and you put $10 next week, $10 the week after, you're building up that emergency fund. And you may say, I don't even have that much. Do loose change. That does add up. $5 here and there, $1, whatever you can do to put into your emergency fund. Again, you're still thinking about what are some other expenses that we can trim. And I have a lot of people that say, hey, I can't even afford that. But they've got, we all have our little bad habits or things that we probably spend money on and we don't want anyone to know, be it shopping. It could be getting coffee each and every single day from Starbucks, because that does add up. It really does. Could be cigarettes. All of those things. Can we cut those down or cut those out? You cut it out, it's really going to improve your budget, because now you can take that money and put that in your emergency fund. Think about it. If you are spending $8, $9, $10 a day on Starbucks, that's $50 a week or more. That's money that can be going in that emergency fund. So you want to look at those things that you're doing to make things better and to work for you. We didn't even think about that, right? So now we've got extra money that we can put into our emergency funds. Also, think about what are some other things that you can cut out or cut down on. Could be some other subscription services. Wine clubs are out there. Also, there are different clothing apps and clothing clubs that you may have joined. Those are some things. Do you really need it? Think about it. And we can use those to put that into our emergency fund. And now we are starting to build that up, right? And that's what we need. That's what we want all year long. We were trying to assess our spending, know what it is, those things we can't live without, cut back where we can. And then for some people, I have had some people saying that I can't even afford to buy groceries. There are resources out there and available too. There are different programs or different shelters. There's also different food banks throughout Illinois, throughout the area, where you can go and get food for free. Now, a lot of times these programs, they cover your basics, such as milk, such as cereal, sometimes meat and vegetables, a lot of dairy products. And you want to go and see, you can do a search for the Northern Illinois Food Bank, see what they have available. There are also schools that are offering food pantries as well, and see what pantries are in your area. These places are set up to help, and if they don't give the food away, or if there's no one to take the food, that food will eventually go bad too. So don't say, well, I don't need it, I shouldn't be using it, save it for someone else that needs it. If you need it, and this will help your budget, then yes, go check out those food pantries. And you may find that you make a connection there too as well. These places are there, they're in the community for a reason, and they're there to help people. So they're there, take advantage of it. Use it as a resource to help with your budget. So that's something else that you can do. Another thing that you want to think about as well is, now that you've got your emergency fund, you want to look at, if you are one of those that you're suffering with debt, you don't know what to do about the debt, you want to look and see, when will you get out from under that debt? A lot of times we don't even think about that. We're just paying it. We know what our credit limits are. And guess what? I have seen people over the past few weeks, over the past few days even, talk about how their credit card companies have changed the terms for them and they weren't even aware. These are people that have never been late, having their credit lines slashed, having their minimum payments increased, interest rates increased, and guess what? They're trying to use their card, they're at a store, and what happens? They can't even use it because they didn't know that their $25,000 credit limit has now been reduced to $500, and it's happening. So over the next couple of years, I want you to actually make a decision to say, yes, I am going to get out of debt. The number one way when you start to get out of debt is you cannot use the debt that you have. You cannot use those credit cards because that keeps you in debt. Yes, you can be making your payments on it, but now you've got finance charges that are being added in there. And if you are still using it, your balance is going to increase. Now, I didn't say close out the account, and didn't say go out and call your creditors and close them out. No, I'm saying work on paying down those balances. If you know how much your finance charges are each month, then you'll know what extra you can pay towards it to get those things paid off. If you're struggling and you cannot do it, get help. Contact a counselor at 800-994-3328 or go to familycredit.org and get the information on dealing with your creditors, how to deal with them, what you should look out for, and get some help because it's out there and we struggle with debt all the time. And a lot of times we don't know who to ask. We don't know what to ask. And we're ashamed. There's some shame that comes along with having a lot of debt too. But in order to get rid of it, you have to make that decision. Make that first step. And keep in mind, you cannot use your debt to get out of debt. You cannot take on a new loan and say that you're getting out of debt. And a lot of people will think about it and think that that's exactly what debt consolidation is when you go out and get a debt consolidation loan that may be available. The thing is, if you do go that route and you're thinking about debt consolidation, whatever accounts you're paying off, you need to make sure that once they're paid off and have a zero balance, they stay that way. A lot of times we'll get that debt consolidation loan. We're like, okay, I've got 24 months to pay this back. And then all my credit cards are free and clear. They've got zero balances. Now I can start charging again. No. Red flag. Do not do that because you're putting yourself right back into that vicious cycle. And you work so hard to get out of it. So if you do debt consolidation or something like that, make sure that you do not use whatever credit cards are out there. And again, yes, you do need to have your credit cards in order to maintain your score. You do need to use the credit because creditors want to see you using credit, right? It's a dangerous game, but you just need to decide for yourself which side of the fence you're going to be on. Which method works for you and your budget? Are you going to be using your credit responsibly? Do you need to pay it all off? Do you need to save more? Like, what is your credit for? What are you using it for? What do you need it for? And a lot of people say, well, I need it for the future. Yes, credit defines you. It determines who you are and what you are going to do. But if you know that you're not going to be buying a house anytime soon, you're not going to be getting a car, then yes, let's work towards paying this debt down and off and getting out of debt so that when it's time, all you have to do is worry about that new payment, be it a mortgage or a car note. That's all you have to worry about, not paying this credit card, that credit card, plus your new house, plus this and that. No, that keeps you in debt and it keeps that cycle going. So you want to think about that. Do you need to reevaluate and adjust your debt to match your budget a little bit more? And again, you're going to be evaluating your lifestyle as well. What are those things that are costing you money? Looking at those streaming services, those hobbies that you have. And if they're important to you, what's the cheapest way for you to do it and still maintain your budget? Another thing that you want to think about is the amount of money you have coming in. Yes, because if you are looking to get out of debt, you want to stay ahead of the game, especially avoid situations like the inflation hit that we just experienced, the talks of recession. You want to avoid all of that. The ways for you to do it, again, pay off your debt, pay down your debt, and increase your income. What are some creative ways you can increase your income? Yes, you can go to your boss, you can ask for a raise, but what if that doesn't work? What are some other things you can do? There's so many entrepreneurs that exist and don't even realize it. What are those creative things that you love? What are those things that you can possibly create and sell? What exhibits can you have? So those are things that you want to think about too. What kind of side jobs can you do to take on and make some more money for you to take that money and put it into your emergency fund? That's right. We're funding this emergency fund. And while we talk about that too, a lot of people will take their extra money, and with the use of online apps and conveniences, we go for those right away. We're talking about the cash apps. We're talking about the wallets, the electronic wallets that are not tied to your bank account at all. Think about that. Any money that you're saving, you want to have it in an FDIC insured bank or NCUA insured credit union. Why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you. If you have money in a bank account, it is insured up to $250,000 worth of deposits. Meaning, if something were to happen to that bank, the bank were to go out of business, it was to be declared insolvent, taken over by another bank, your money is still there. You can still access it. It is still good. It has not gone anywhere. And the bank is guaranteeing that no matter what happens, up to that $250,000, you will always have access to your money and get it back. When you think about these apps that are available, the PayPals, the Cash apps and things like that, they're not really tied to a bank that's insured. And what some people have even found is that they will put money into those apps and then days later that money's gone. And yes, that is happening because that money is not insured. And when that money is gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. So if you are using those services, make sure you protect yourself by having it linked to an FDIC bank account, FDIC insured, legitimate bank account where you can transfer whatever funds you have sitting there back into your bank account and vice versa, so that your money is always safe and you know what's happening, you know what's going on to it. Another thing that I see a lot of people using is those infamous payday loans and personal loans to try and make ends meet. Now, these are dangerous. They are very, very dangerous. And I want you to be just leery of anything that you may see out there targeting, telling you, hey, you can get paid on your payday. We can pay you before your payday, and then you just pay us back when you get paid. Those things come with so much interest, so many costs, and a vicious cycle that people cannot get out from under. But if you're struggling with that, why don't you go to familycredit.org or call a counselor at 800-994-3328 to help get out from under it. If you have payday loans, if you are thinking about getting a payday loan or a personal loan, be sure that you review the terms and conditions that are set with that loan. You want to know what their policy is, what interest that you're being charged. And sometimes even looking at it, you may think, oh, I'm only getting $1,000, but they want me to pay back payments of $100 $120 every 2 weeks, and that's not bad. But then when you read the actual paperwork, you're paying back payments of $120 every 2 weeks for the next 48 months. That's a lot of money. So you want to make sure that you understand how much is this actually going to cost you. And if there are ways for you to work around that, let's do it. If you are only getting $1,000, but you have to pay them back $5,000, that's money down the drain for real. That hurts your budget. If you are getting payments, you're getting this $1,000, you have to pay them back $120 every 2 weeks until you pay them in full up to that $5,000. Think about it. Next week, if you didn't have the $1,000 now, and if you pay them back next week, you pay them back $1,120, then you can forget the whole thing. But if you didn't have that $1,000 right now, what makes you think you'll have the $1,120? So what happens is you begin to roll that loan over, and you pay an additional $120, and you're going to have to do that again. And you keep doing it, thinking that, oh, next time I'll pay them off. Next time I'll pay them off. And they're racking up, getting to that $5,000 that they wanted in the first place from you. Your budget is stressed. They've got access to your bank account so they can pull money whenever they want. You already promised them $5,000, even though you only got one. And they can go in and take that money whenever they get ready, because guess what? When you sign the paperwork, you agreed to let them do that. That's why you want to read the terms and conditions. Make sure you understand them before you even sign it. Then think about the amount that you're getting and say, hey, if I need this $1,000, maybe there's some other way I can get it besides borrowing from this payday lender. Some banks, they do private loans now, or personal loans, for a small amount. They call them the short-term loans. And you can see if they offer that through your bank. That may be a safer route than to give access to someone or some company that you've never even heard of, you're not familiar with, and they can pull money whenever they want. You can also see if there's any relatives or any family members or any friends that you could possibly borrow that money from. Yes, that might be better than paying thousands and thousands of dollars down the drain. And a lot of times when I see one person with one payday loan, or they say they have one payday loan, by the time we go over their budget, they really got 3 or 4 or even 7 or 8. Think about trying to juggle all of that to get out from under it, only because you needed one sum of money. You couldn't pay it. You went out and you got another. So you want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, that you understand that there is help out there. There really is. You can talk to a financial help. You can ask for financial assistance. You can ask a credit counselor to go over your situation, your budget, and everything that you're dealing with. And just call 800-994-3328 to get that started. This help is out there and it's available, because you don't want to continue each and every single time rolling those loans over, and now you're stuck paying them back. You want to limit the number of loans that you have. You shouldn't have 8 loans out there. If you do, again, get help. But when you're trying to get out from under that debt, the worst thing you can do is take on a new loan while you're trying to do that. So you want to stick with that budget, build an emergency fund, make sure that you protect yourself, your money, and your bank account, because there's so many protections put in place. Yes, I want you to look up your consumer rights. If you need help with that, you can talk to Family Credit at 800-994-3328, because there are counselors that can help you with that, to send you out what your consumer rights are, so that you understand what you can do to get out from under this debt, how you can protect yourself, and how you can protect your bank account. That's the best thing that you can do, because you've got this bank account for a reason. You need it in order to live and pay your monthly expenses. The last thing you want to do is jeopardize any of that because you have those payday loans. So when we're thinking about making ourselves recession proof. We want to survive those hard times. And those ways that you do it, look at where you are right now, get a handle on your finances, look at your budget, create that emergency fund, and then you want to see about dealing with your debt. too. Sometimes you are experiencing those calls from the creditors and collection agencies. They may just hound you and harass you, but those go along again with that consumer rights. You've got rights as a consumer to say, I know I owe you. I can't do it now, but this is what I have planned, and this is how I'm going to do it. Look up your consumer rights, talk to a counselor about that, and then work on getting yourself in a better financial situation, getting rid of this debt that you may be carrying, dealing with any collection agencies, dealing with any of those finance companies and payday loans. We want to say no to the rollovers. We want to get out from under them and make them go away, because we want you to be able to live within your means, stay within that budget that you've established. And you may be working on your budget and say, guess what? I'm negative each and every single month. What are some ways that I can get over that? What are some ways that I can increase my income or decrease my expenses? Those are the only ways around it. But we want you to live happy. We want you to live debt-free, and take a look at your finances, and knowing where you are right now is the best way that you can do that. Because yes, if this happens again, if a recession hits, if you find yourself struggling, at least you know you don't have to worry about paying that debt, because you already took care of that. You don't have to worry about those utility bills and everything, because you've got it down to a manageable level no matter what. And that is the importance of controlling your finances. It minimizes your stress, helps you live better, longer, have a fuller life. And guess what? Those debts don't weigh you down anymore. If you've got any other questions, reach out to a certified counselor, 800-994-3328. Go to Family Credit's website, download those tools that are available, familycredit.org. And then we will be back again next time to give you some other tips dealing with your credit card companies, dealing with your creditors, and keeping that credit profile in check. Take care.